in a bad way or good way.
I got you.
And so, I mean, I think something that comes to mind is you look through history, as you could tell from like ESRB, the ESRB ratings, they legitimately came up simply because there were violent video games being made, and when parents became privy to this, they wanted someone to step in and take action on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mortal Kombat alone was the sole.
Let's say it was the driving factor, I believe.
Yes, absolutely, for the ESRB specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, this stigma, I guess, of being called a gamer has. I like to compare it to when people call people emo. It has a physical manifestation to it. So being called a gamer, it kind of makes people think that you look a certain way, you act a certain way,
Yeah.
and think a certain way.
People like to shoebox, and I call it shoeboxing. When you think of any label, and I am not a man of labels, I don't like them. I don't like them for this specific reason. Because anytime that somebody's like, "Oh, he's a gamer," you automatically shoebox in that this person is the basement dwelling. I play WoW and I don't leave my house type of person, and that's not who gamers are. In fact, gamer as a term is so wide and so it's so wide that it's almost meaningless. Like anybody who plays games is technically a gamer.
And I think over time, what it is, from my observation, is simply just people want to know what it means to be something. When someone decides to say, "Hey, I'm blank," they want to know what that means.
Sure.
And when if you and I were to have a conversation and I tell you, "Hey, I'm a gamer," and you ask me what is a gamer, and I give you this hugely broad description
I play
of what a
games.
gamer is.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, you can take it all in, process it, and you may even understand it. But at the same time, when you go to tell somebody else down the street, "Oh, hey, I know someone who's a gamer," to have to explain all that to somebody is tiresome, and some people may not want to hear it.
Right.
So people want like a specific description as to what a gamer is, what it means to be emo, for anything. They want kind of going off your shoebox thing. They want a description that's in a small package, wrapped up in a nice little bow, and it just completely explains it.
And that is all of them.
And that's the other thing. When you have that shoebox, you just open it up. "Oh, you're a gamer? Yeah, we'll just put you right in there. Close you up. Good." But it's impossible to do that, because I could say I'm a gamer, and when you say what's a gamer, even if I were to be very detailed but brief about it, I could say I play board games.
Yeah.
I could say I do D&D. I could say I play video games. I could say that I do all three of those things.
I go to my grandma's bridge games every 3 weeks.
Yeah, play bridge, some Yahtzee. I mean, Uno.
Yeah.
Anything. It could be anything. To be a gamer could mean anything.
Yeah.
It really could. It is.
In its simplest definition, a gamer is a person who plays games. What games? All games.
A game.
Which is
even just a game.
Which is it's crazy to me, because it's like you don't call people who go to see movies filmers, or people who read books bookers. Or
they call them moviegoers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know. It's this is like a 10-year-old episode of Extra Credits. It was one of their first. It was what got me to watch them in the first place, and it's a very well thought out thought that they had about the term gamer and what it means. And like I said, it's so wide a spectrum that it's almost meaningless.
Yeah.
Not to get too real on this, but I think, the problem, I think, is that people want those shoeboxes to the point where they start focusing on what a certain label is, and they stop focusing on who a person is. Like,
Right.
you stop thinking about who Joe Blow down the street is. You just go, oh, he's an emo. End of story.
He's an emo.
That's Joe Blow.
I do have to admit, I've never heard anybody call anybody an emo. A gamer, sure. An emo, not really. Not to hang on how you delivered that one, but that's just interesting to me because I have been called emo before because
and people will use emo as a verb. Stop being so emo about something.
Well, and that's just it. It's again, when you hear, at least for the longest time, whenever someone called somebody emo, basically just take any member of My Chemical Romance, and there you go, emo. That's what you look like. That's the physical manifestation that comes from that. I mean, it's just, you
gotta be careful using that band name. The Queen will find you. She loves them. Not that I don't. They're a great band.
Zero problems with them. They
awesome,
they release some good music that I can still listen to today.
Gerard Way's got a Netflix show coming out based off of one of his comics, so I've heard. So that's cool.
Interesting. I made for that.
So the quick tangent on the term emo, it's really funny because when I was a young boy, that was a My Chemical Romance joke. Yeah, that was a My Chemical Romance joke for anybody that got it. You're welcome. Good grief. I was always under the assumption that emo was short for emotional, or emotion in general, and I again am not one to hold back what I feel. I tend to wear my emotions on my sleeve, so I kind of took it as like this is my flag and I'm gonna die on this hill kind of thing. So I get really mad when people are like, "Oh, don't be so emo about it." Like, do you even know what the word means?
Yeah.
Do you even know where it came from? No, you're just using because you see the shoebox and that's it. So,
you heard it from the kid down the street and you thought it was cool to call somebody emo.
It's like, oh,
it's frustrating.
Like,
Trust me, I've had this exact conversation too. I was like, whenever someone said, "Oh, you're emo" or whatever, I'm like, you know what emo is short for? And they're like, they would tell me that it's not like they wouldn't know. It was just like, oh, but I just like calling you emo because you wear black a lot. I'm like, so?
So you mean goth?
So, like, what's the big deal? What's your
under
point?
This, it's the same thing with like racism. It's the same thing with a lot of things. They look at it as lesser, and it's a horrible way to see things. And
so, yeah, some people do, absolutely.
And it's not something that I'm guilty of this too. I used to do it all the time with the term bro gamer.
Bro gamer.
Which is your Call of Duty, your person that buys every Call of Duty and every Madden game. That's all they play. Maybe an Assassin's Creed.
Maybe.
But it's like,
no, I got you.
It's a term I used to throw around all the time. Oh, he's just a bro gamer.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got to the point where I realized, I'm doing the same thing. That's exactly the same thing. I'm sticking a label on them, and I'm basically calling out all the jock nerds in college who sit at home and play Madden and bash their chest about how good they are at Call of Duty. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's you. So
no, I mean, and you can make as many memes about it as you want. There's like that. What comes to mind is that the meme of what a female gamer looks like to everyone, and what a female gamer actually looks like that kind of meme.
Hill, yeah.
Yeah, like I look at that and it makes you giggle, but at the same time it's just like
it almost makes you giggle because you know how untrue it is now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I could go on forever, even on the emo topic. I mean, I used to be in a band, and I used to get called emo and everything too. So it was just like you brush it off until you either just set them straight by saying, "Hey, listen, not even you're hurting my feelings. It's just that, hey, putting the stigma that I'm emo because I dress a certain way is unfair. Yeah. Like just put the law down, kind of deal. Just put the wall down. Just say, hey, this is the wall right here. Don't cross it. No.
Oh my goodness.
But no. So I could talk about the emo thing.
Right.
I can even talk about the gamer thing.
Right. I think to
And
put a pin in this, it's gamer is a term used by people who want to shoebox in a group of people, just like any other label. Um, is it bad if you want to call yourself a gamer? No. Is it bad if somebody else wants to call you a gamer as a bad thing or a good thing? No, not really. I mean, it's just them shoeboxing you. Know who you are, and know what you're about.
here's the main reason why I wanted to bring up this topic, though,
Okay.
especially because of the Jacksonville thing.
Hmm.
You look at like Trump nowadays.
Sure.
How once he got into the presidency,
Mm-hmm.
there was I don't remember what it was. There was another shooting.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different shooting,
Okay.
and he was one of the people who hopped on the
Yeah.
our violent movies and our violent video games are to blame for this. And I stop scratching my head when people say that, and I just scream at the TV instead. And I'm like, no, you freaking moron. That is
Right.
not it.
It's not
Because
to,
here's the big thing.
uh,
Here's your big example, and here's your big sticking point. If this is something that has been proven, violent video games link to violent behavior, then why is China not having this problem?
right.
Why is Japan not having this problem? Why is Germany, any country in Europe, the
For
UK,
sure.
why are they not having all these same problems that we are? Why is their crime rate not rising?
Yeah.
If you have an answer for me, I'm right here. Please
Drop it in the
I
comments. We'll
love- I
we'll
would
be right
love
here.
to hear it.
Yeah,
I would please
I'm
please
with
do,
you.
because it's borderline infuriating when because they just want something to blame.
Right. This is a,
They don't even want somebody personally to blame. They just want something.
They're
because
looking for a scapegoat for sure.
it's just something to blame. So it's like, okay, this is the problem. Let's try to deal with the problem. And 98% of the time, what do they actually do about it?
Nothing.
Nothing. So it's like, okay, you want to put. Eventually, though, this is where the big issue with this arises. They want to just blame something. Let's say they blame video games. What happens normally? Nothing. I mean, but,
it's another thing they put in the shoebox. Is why it makes you so mad.
right, and
I
then
get
you go down the street one day before a shooting like this happens and video games gets blamed. You maybe get stopped by one person who calls you a gamer and has a negative connotation towards it. But then a shooting happens, they blame video games, and you walk down the street, and all of a sudden you have 5 instead of 1.
Right.
That's pretty much a minor effect to this. But the bigger effect is normally this happens, and what gets done? Probably nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, they tighten security on events, things like that. So that's all fine and good.
Security that needed to be tightened to begin with, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's part of the topic that we finished. But
Right.
yeah, no, absolutely. But then what happens is if it happens again and again, then they start looking into it harder and longer, and they decide something does truly need to be done, as opposed to we need to just blame something and say we're going to do something and then maybe do 1 or 2 things, but overall doesn't affect much. But eventually, if it happens more and more, and this is the same reason for it, all of a sudden bigger things start happening that really affect it. So then all of a sudden you get a case of if you're considered a gamer, people like don't want to go anywhere near you because they just assume that you're an angry, uptight person who can't take loss of a video game or something like that. Like it gets to an extreme. It goes to an extreme.
I can see that, and it almost feels like a dystopian future what you're saying, but I don't think it's too far away from like reality. I don't think it's too far away from something that we could potentially see. And you're right, it is something that we need to be aware and wary of. So I think while the rest of the world will be informed of all the bad things and they'll point their finger at video games, you have to look at all the things also that video games have done well for the community. Look at things like AGDQ, and though it has a good amount of problems too, it raises millions of dollars for charity every
Oh my
year.
god, I love watching
Millions and
ABQ.
millions of dollars for charities.
GDQ is definitely one of my go-tos for YouTube things to watch.
Right.
Love that stuff.
You think,
Everyone over there does great,
right.
great work.
You look at like channels like Game Grumps and Vinesauce and those guys that raise money too, and they raise awareness. And Danny and Aaron, especially the people I watch, they are some of the most down to earth people I ever listened to. And the same is true with Vinny and Vinesauce. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones, Pro Jared and the Completionist, and I could list a million of them.
Yep, actually, Gerard just did a stream, the Indie stream.
Indieland just
He raised between 50 and 60,000 for,
That's
I believe
awesome.
it was MS dementia awareness kind of stuff, which awesome stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
I was working, so I couldn't watch the stream. I was very upset, but
I mean, I'll watch the VOD.
there you go. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's just something to keep in mind. You remember all the bad things that happen. Remember how people point our fingers at gamers in general and video games as a whole of being too violent or whatever, and then make sure you're well armed with the good that game does. And it doesn't have to be GDQ. It doesn't have to be charity streams that happen by multiple sources, like Ninja or Vinesauce or the Completionist or Game Grumps. It could be anybody. I'm sure there's people that do it with Madden. I know there's people that do it with fighting games. So that's what I'm just saying. Just remember the good and be well armed.
I think the best thing to take away from this is that you don't forget these events simply because we say just because it happened at a gaming event doesn't mean gamers are completely to blame or not to blame at all.
Right.
The best thing you can take from this is to learn from it, in which you, at these events, you tighten security a little bit. You have stricter rules as to how you're allowed to enter it, what you're allowed to bring, et cetera, et cetera. Arm yourself with knowledge. Arm yourself with the truth. Do your research. And you see nowadays everybody gets everything from Twitter and Facebook and social media, and they'll give you the highlights. They'll give you the things that you want to read the most, but dive deeper. Really, really just dig deep, get a shovel and just dig up everything you can on it. Get as much information as possible, because there is nothing wrong with being too informed.
Right.
Just know the topic, know the surroundings, know the stigma behind gamers, and know the truth behind gamers, and the fact that it's not there. This image that we've been given over the years about what a gamer is not the truth.
Yeah.
It can literally be anything.
Right. Just to echo what you said, now more than ever, be more vigilant, be more diligent to teach people the truth.
Absolutely.
Especially when they don't want to hear it. Because for every research paper that whoever could bring up that video games cause violence, there's a dozen or two that will slap them down and show you that no, they're not. And
it's not about putting people down and saying, hey, you're bad at research, you're doing what you're doing. It's just about getting the truth in a world right now where you can't depict what is truth and what is not.
Very easily, at least.
It is very easy to mix up the two nowadays.
Very true.
So definitely do everything you can to do as much research as possible to figure out exactly what the truth is. And like you said, inform everybody. Let everybody know exactly what the truth is, whether it would be hard or not.
Sure.
I think I'm good here.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
All right.
This has been a heavy first episode.
Whew. Well, we don't pull. We're
not pulling punches here.
We're not pull punches. We don't put the the firearms down. Bad joke. Very bad joke.
Why would you make that joke?
Very, very stupid.
Oh my god. This is a PR nightmare.
Oh, lordy.
Oh my god.
Yep.
We got one more topic?
Yep. Yes. One more.
One more thing.
One more. I also...
Shoutouts to Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yes. It's been so long.
It has been. I think it's on Netflix now. Anyway.
The other discussion I would like to have...
The final topic.
Final topic. No countdown.
Anyway,
So...
there we go
So
again.
the final topic